Buddy Bill said.
Cottonhead.
Cottonhead. You both matched your bow ties very similar today.
You got dogs. I got whales. No, my socks are pretty plain today.
Oh man, oh no.
Oh, dear goodness.
Yeah, I'm just like different colored dots. I'm sort of normal today. Yeah.
Kevin, did you all get your slide? Okay, you're not doing your stuff.
Yeah, he didn't wear a bow tie.
You dress up. Where's your bow tie? Mike's so high. I don't do that.
He's my alter ego.
He can say Emerald Ash Borer 5 times real fast.
I couldn't say it once today.
There you go.
Mr. Bailey.
I don't believe you heard you.
You clean up well.
You look good enough to be buried.
1 foot in the grave, the other one on a banana peel.
Seen him a long time. Mr. Ortella. He used to walk the stall all the time.
All over town.
Jerry, I asked you to make a motion on the closed session.
It's hard to tell who was leading
Did
who.
you check this? Yes, make sure Kim has got what you're supposed to say. The law.
Sure. Now, is it printed before? I know we had some before, didn't we?
Well, I'm adding this one.
Oh, you're adding that one? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I know, he dresses up nice, doesn't he? We asked him where his bow tie was.
If we do another closed session towards the end of the year, do we have the literature we need to read for that?
Let me get you that code section. Are you gonna do it?
Yeah.
Yours has something on it.
Yes, what it is.
Okay.
Do what?
I had a busy day today.
Oh.
This is evidence of other reading.
Girl, you counting too much.
Miss Kenny,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
did you find it?
See, obviously. Yes. Uh-huh.
Calm Connie down. Sit Kevin and Connie together.
So that's it right here, it's September 4th.
Should have been the
Okay, right in here it says October 4th, so that's today. September the 4th. September 4th.
Lord.
September 4th.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, it
Woman's a
should.
mess.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the August and the September combined. So that's towards the end.
But this is, we're gonna approve this tonight, right? That's what we're doing.
Just the top
four.
part. No, just the September.
I'm glad they had to decide that.
I know. Let me grab it.
Everybody's well.
What he asked me for.
I think my wife's going up tomorrow.
She's trying to figure out on the computer. Mr. Pickles, I think it's
I have worse time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
well now, when
Every time I use it, I feel like just throwing it across the room.
I just had to fix my type instead of going on top of it. You have to do that on top.
No, mine works both ways because
This is really it's just a little button right here. Little teeny something. No, just the sit right here.
Bags she's got. She come in.
That's the button.
doesn't look like a button. to me.
The little, I was telling that little tiny button.
I think he looks for release.
See, when it's pulling in, it could date. So these are the actual.
Makes his rounds. He stops by the police department and then drops off donuts.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a carrot. I don't think they ever had any kids. I think they have any children.
Thanks for getting us out of all that. Shortened the meeting by 20 minutes.
Is this mine? It's all over here.
That's yours. I didn't get one of those, I got one of these. Well, it's the same thing though. Mine's black.
It's just black. Oh, you want to color one? I'll show you.
No.
Listen, thank you again for your help today. You were great. You had good questions and a lot of good answers. It worked out really well. Had a little mind to go ahead and get rid of the contract with all of the person every time. Suits me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the October the 4th, 2018 regular meeting of the Abingdon Town Council. I want to thank you all for coming out and showing interest and participating in our local government. And I hope you'll continue to show such interest throughout the coming years. Kim, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Bradley?
Here.
Ms. Quetch?
Here.
Mr. Webb?
Here.
Ms. Patterson?
Here.
And Mayor Craig.
Here. This time I'm going to ask Donna Quitch to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is a proclamation designating October 4th, 2018 in honor of Jan Hurt for donation of the Love from Abington postcard to the town of Abingdon. I'll read the proclamation. Whereas artist Jan Hurt has been greatly embraced by the arts community and residents of Abingdon, Virginia as an active arts organizer and advocate by immersing herself in a voluntary effort to create and share high-quality art in every possible public place. Whereas combining her considerable talents as a mixed media artist with her love of collaboration, Jan has not only participated in, but has helped initiate some of the area's most innovative public art projects, including tarot card art, Got You Covered, an exploration of clothing, costumes, and masks, Seeking the Sacred Source, Arts and Spirituality, The Apron Project, Who's Afraid of Virginia's Wolves, and Mapping the Cosmos. Jan Hurt and a constellation of artists and recently donated a classic labyrinth to the town, whereas from Abingdon's Main Street to its restaurants and local galleries, Jan has helped expand the type and number of locations in which townspeople and tourists can encounter art, cultivate new art patrons by placing collaborative installations in the flow of everyday life, and energize area artists with fresh opportunities for expressions and places to sell their work. Whereas Jan designed and donated a Love from Abingdon postcard to be used by the tourism department for photo opportunities for visitors and town events recognizing the economic and social impacts of arts in the town of Abingdon. Now therefore, I, Wayne Craig, Mayor of the town of Abingdon, do hereby proclaim October 14th, 2018, to honor Jan Hurt for the many achievements and contributions made by our fellow artist, friend, and neighbor, and the donation of the Love from Abingdon postcard. Ms. Hurt, would you please come forward, please?
I was gonna come get you if you didn't come up.
And you're police chief also, so my gosh, come.
You all want to see?
Oh, maybe I should take mine out too then.
Ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, that one.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, as you leave tonight, folks, if you would look to your right as you go down the steps, if you go out the front, the artwork is displayed in the front of the building. It might be a little dark, but there might be enough street lights so you can take your picture and post it on Facebook so your friends can see you and know that you're in Abingdon.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. I hope we'll be able to do these all together. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the September 4th, 2018 regular meeting, September 10th, 2018 work session, September the 18th, 2018 public comments, input, and work session, September the 26th, 2018 special call meeting?
Can we approve all those in one swell
We can
swoop,
do it
as
all
my
in
friend
one.
used to say?
Is there a motion that we approve the
I'll
minutes?
make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Kim, please call the roll.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
Mayor Craig?
Aye. The next item on the agenda is public comments. Please come forward to the podium as your name is called. Restate your name, state your address, identify any organization you represent. Each speaker will have 3 minutes for comments. Each speaker will be timed by the clerk once your comments begin, and you will be given a cue when 1 minute of speaking time remains. Speakers are reminded that neither council members or staff will address questions or otherwise engage with speakers during the public comment period. The first speaker is Connie Daggs.
How's everybody? My name is Connie Daggs. I live at 215 Madison Street, Abingdon, Virginia. And first of all, I want to thank the board for assigning me to the Redevelopment and Housing Authority. I really appreciate that and look forward to working with the board members. And only thing I have on my mind this evening, and I do want to appreciate, I've noticed some changes, positive changes. They are working on Kings Mountain, getting it cleaned up. And I thank you and your people for coming to take care of that for me, because I don't like all that debris hanging all over the place. And it's time for it to get cleaned up. And I want to see that part of the city changed. And so I will be very vocal on making sure this happens. And also, I have another thing. I want to, I've been thinking about this for a long time, because I first came to Abingdon, well, I was born here, but I graduated, but I came back to Abingdon in '65 on the train. And I would love to see Amtrak come back through here. Now, I just want to let that sink in for a minute. And because it would be good for tourism and for a lot of other reasons. We don't have the bus station no more, but I think Amtrak would be a benefit for the city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Daggs. The next speaker is Henry McCarthy. McCarthy, I'm sorry.
I believe that's McCarthy.
McCarthy, yeah. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I've been walking around town. I want to start off by thanking you and the response I've gotten about pointing out several different houses in town that need to be dealt with. And but I do appreciate the feedback and the immediate response that I've gotten on that, because as you know, your downtown and the historic section and how it's treated and how it's maintained is so important. I do want to mention that I've been walking around town. I walk around town a lot, but right now my car's in the shop, and that's why I'm walking. And it has 230,000 miles on it, and my wife's been wanting me to trade it, but I haven't done that. But if you walk around town, and you know, most towns are rated best towns in America on walkability. So one of the things I've noticed, and a number of years ago, I lobbied to get the sidewalk up Oak Hill. So now we have it when you come up the hill, and it's safe as you come up the hill and the drop-off, but it hasn't been extended. And then also I noticed you can walk out this way all the way to the theater if you don't, but you have to cross over. So, and if you go this way to where my car's in the shop, there's basically no sidewalks or very little. So the sidewalk situation is periodically you're walking and all of a sudden you're starting to drop off. And as you know, with traffic, and I've lived around the country and throughout the world, traffic is a problem. When I was on the town council of Boone, we never could really get a handle on it, and that's one reason you go over there today and there's so much traffic. We didn't know what to do about it, quite frankly. So I would urge you at this stage of the town, as the automobile becomes more and more of a factor, that you begin to look at that very seriously. The Fields Pen House, I'm walking by that. I don't see any action on it. I understand that there's a committee, and I've heard different terms, 2 million, 1,500,000 and so on. But if you wait on a committee, in my experience, and I'm a fan of committees, but you'll be waiting a long time. So you need to be moving on that. And as I've said, I could do it for $150,000 and you give me the profit. So just throw that out to you. Another thing in walking around town is the smell as you get on the Creeper Trail over there. What a great weekend with all the folks in last weekend with that group. They walked from White Top down, then back and so on. But one lady from Manhattan who was there wanted to know what that smell was, and I didn't know, so I thought I'd ask the town council. Those are just basically some things that I've had on my mind today. But the basic one is keep in mind what people view when they walk in this town and the walkability of this town. And I would urge you to get out and give it a shot and just walk through town and look at it from that perspective, because we're so dependent on the automobile today. I mean, me, you, everyone else. And I can find that anywhere from here to Raleigh. And trust me, the traffic is coming. You're going to see more and more of an increase. So, but thank you. And by the way, there's a great art show tonight, and it will be up there at the William King Museum. And what a treasure that is. That is such a treasure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. The next speaker is Linda Summers.
I think we skipped Derek Dutcher.
Derek Dutcher, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Derek Dutcher.
Thank you.
Derek, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, Craig. I'm Derek Dutcher. I'm the grandson of Lou Summers with Summers Law Office. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about what to do with the office, which was given in good faith to the town to maintain, restore, maintain, and continue as a historical building. That's part of the agreement in 2008. I understand y'all, I tried to get on the agenda, but that wasn't happening tonight. But I understand y'all want to get rid of that property in some way, shape, or form, and there have been various methods attributed to it. I look at that sign behind you, and that's exactly how I feel. Honor to the past, fidelity to the future. These two books are considered the state of history of the Southwest Virginia, written by my grandfather, sitting in that office. The history of Southwest Virginia and the annals of Southwest Virginia. both very major works. That building carries a lot of history, carries a lot of family. The Summers family and the Prestons are both walk up to Sinking Springs. When they started talking about selling it, I could hear my mother buzzing in the ground up there. And Andy and Lou and everyone else. So I would greatly appreciate the consideration of the council. We're, as the representative of the family, we're not seeking a reversion, but that somewhere that language disappeared between the two deeds to the Historical Society and the town. However, we'd like to be considered as part of any effort to sell it, so that we can have a responsible, I would like to even possibly propose an ad hoc committee that might contain one council member, a member of the family, a member of the Historical Commission, and possibly one or two other people. Betsy White leaps to mind from the William King. You all know her very well. She's an old family friend and very up on the office. To consider the sale of the office if it comes to that. So in the meantime, I would like to, if the council can provide a full accounting of not only the expenses but the revenues over the last 10 years, so that we can see what was actually done, because I'm not aware. I've worked through two different regimes. Well, Lois was the mayor when I gave it, but then Ed, and then this past cast council. So all I ask is the consideration for the family that indeed the family be held with consideration in any decision that you make. I couldn't get to the last meeting because of the hurricane, but I flew at great personal expense when I found out you were having this one. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next speaker is Linda Summers.
Good evening. My name is Linda Summers Giel. I live at 15448 Briarwood Lane. I just briefly would like to make one or two comments to the council and to the audience. And this is a continuation of the discussion, and yes, I'm sorry we were not able to get on the agenda. The Summers Law Office belonged to the Lewis Preston Summers family for over 51 years before it was designated as a gift to the Historical Society in 1969. And subsequent gift to the town of Abington, which is an additional 49 years. Now, if you get some perspective on this, the Summers Law Office has been a landmark for over 100 years in this community. And it's meant a lot, I think, to a lot of people. I think of all the family members, citizens, and later volunteers from the Historical Society that cared for the Summers legacy. It's sort of been a part of this town for a very, very long time. And the Summers family is still here. We haven't left. Ideally, the idea of having a public auction for the property to be sold to the highest bidder is a little unsettling. And I was thinking about the timeline. The law office is 100 years, and a decision to sell it at auction would take 60 to 90 days. So I'm asking again in all sincerity to please consider opening up a dialogue, an important dialogue with the family and with others that take a vital and important interest in this landmark. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Donna Bailey.
My name is Donna Bailey. My address is Post Office Box 541. And I am not a Summers or a Gill or any member of the family. I'm one of those people that fell in love with Abingdon the first time I laid eyes on it. And that little law office over there was my favorite thing in this town. And I don't mean to get upset, but I'm very disturbed about what has gone on with this property. I've spoken with the family, researched things, and I think that the attorney the town is using has done a great disservice to this council. And I mean no disrespect, but the family never relinquished those clauses. And the deed was administered when Mr. Kelly was here as town manager. So I question what happened. I also question why in the first meeting in August, that when your attorney approached you, he said there are 3 options. Yes, you can give this back to the family. Just hold a public meeting. Or you can arrange a private sale with the family. That's fine. Or the third would be to sell it at public auction. When he came back last month, there was a new story. And it wasn't proper. It wasn't right. And in all due respect, I don't think it's proper or right to take advantage of people who give things to this town. And if this is not handled properly, I'm afraid that nobody will ever give another plot of land, another endowment, and sometimes you may have the law on your side, but it doesn't make it right, especially when there are questionable actions on the part of possibly town staff or others. And I don't have the proof, but we know what the family said. They never relinquished anything. They were trying to do a great thing for this community. And I have never, ever been able to walk through that building as much as I love it. I'm thinking 10 years it's been in this town, and it was supposed to be a museum or something for the public, and we've not enjoyed it one day. So I'm hoping y'all are going to rectify that. I appreciate it very respectfully.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Sigrid Phillips.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and ladies and gentlemen of the Town Council. My name is Sigrid Phillips. I have resided at 445 Circle Drive for 45 years. And I have written down a couple of thoughts concerning the selection of the new town manager that I appreciate the opportunity to air at this moment. I'm going to make this very brief. I would just encourage the town council to continue their quest for open and transparent dealings in everything, as you have been doing. And this includes the selection of the town manager. I know that you have a very difficult task that needs careful and farsighted consideration. If you are to succeed, you must be allowed the time necessary to find that one person that is most suited in all aspects for the position of town manager. And that's what I'm asking for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Addison Jennings.
Evening, Town Council, Mr. Mayor. My name is Edison Jennings. Live at 247 East Main Street, our fair city, Abingdon, Virginia, and I won't take much of your time. I would like to make a few comments about the prospective search for a town manager, and I would encourage the town council to conduct a search and select. You've already conducted the search, I'm aware of that, and select a town manager pretty much from outside of the town of Abingdon. I think that we need to get a fresh perspective on the many, many troubles that this town has experienced in recent time, and that having a new manager with fresh ideas to look at the town and who has not necessarily been influenced one way or the other would probably be in our best interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Rick Humphries.
Good evening. What I want to talk to you all about is basically the dissolving or getting rid of the crosswalk that is at Palmer and Main Street, West Main Street. It came out in a town blurb about the removal of that, and will be removed within the next couple of weeks. So good evening, Mayor Craig and members of the county council. I come to you this evening because of my concern of the safety of pedestrians traveling on West Main Street from southern states to Highway 19. As many of you are aware, I was witness to an accident in which a car struck a pedestrian in this area. I was with the gentleman as he was dying. Because of this accident, I became aware of foot traffic in this area. I then pushed for a crosswalk in the Patton West Main Street block. I cannot tell you that the current crosswalk placement is correct, but I do not think it would be wise to take it out of the current crosswalk until there's another crosswalk put somewhere else in place of it. Presently, there are 60 employees of child support enforcement, scores of residents on the north and south sides of West Main Street. The Renaissance House is reopening with many residents coming back there, and with the completion of the new First Bank and Trust building, their staff will increase to 50 employees. Many of these people walk to closely located businesses such as the auto shop, furniture store, dentist, service station, and Chef Heather's, a popular lunch spot. In addition to more crosswalks, a reduction in the speed limit would help make this area safer. If the speed limit is reduced from 35 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour between Highway 19 and Palmer Street, which is on the east side of the southern states, this will only take an additional 18 seconds. That's right, 18 seconds to drive. My wife Susan and I timed this more than once. In real time, the speed reduction gives the vehicle driver much needed time to react to a pedestrian. In conclusion, I think it would benefit the town to conduct a safety study to help identify the areas into town that would benefit from having an additional crosswalks and or speed reductions. We tout ourselves as a pedestrian-friendly town, as Henry said just a minute ago. Let us make it a reality more than it is now. Okay, thank you all for that. And really quick, because I got a yellow light, to answer Connie Daggs.
Take your time, Rick.
Huh?
Take
Well,
your
it's okay.
time.
Connie Daggs. Bob Howard was on a committee for the train. It's in Bristol. Bob Howard's on there, and this council, I'm sure, is going to appoint someone for that Transportation Commission to study trains. Bob was on that one. There's $2.5 million extra in the bonding issue of the town. $2.5 million extra of the $10 million that can be used for the Fields Pen House. That is there. And then also about the wonderful Summers Law Office. There is I think it wouldn't cost the town a lot to do a meditation garden right there in the back. It's a beautiful area, and it wouldn't cost a lot to maintain it. We put a lot into it, and I think that the least we could do is kind of let everybody else share it. Whoever said that they hadn't walked through it, Donna Bailey. Be a good time for her to walk through it. Thank you all, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
There you go.
Next speaker is Steve Jett.
Good evening. I'm Stephen Jett, 333 Court Street, speaking as an individual. For 3 years, the town of Abingdon has been experiencing uniquely turbulent times. We citizens very much appreciate all the positive steps undertaken by those who stepped into the breach when duty called and who skillfully helped us through the still in process transition to firmer and more collegial ground. The fact, nevertheless, remains that the town must, in general and especially in the present context, seek the most highly qualified candidate to fill the key position of town manager. As things presently stand, as long as there's at least one fully qualified applicant, ethically and legally the town cannot hire anyone who does not meet every one of the already published criteria, and the town may not apply any criterion additional to those specified in the existing application solicitation document. If the town should do so, it could be vulnerable to a lawsuit on the part of any fully qualified candidate who had been passed over in favor of any candidate who did not meet one or more of the specified requirements, or who is accorded compensatory favor on the basis of any criterion not mentioned in the call for applicants. We must place our confidence in the wisdom of town council in its search for the very most qualified town manager possible, something our community needs and deserves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes all of our, yes, sir, you come forward.
I'm sorry, I came in late, I didn't sign up.
That's all right, come on.
Good evening.
Sir, you need to state your name and.
My name's Terry Simon. I live at 460 Green Spring Road, Abington. And I would like to discuss again about the traffic going down Green Spring Road. The signs, I was here 2 months ago, the signs were never moved, never adjusted. You put barrels up. Not sure why, because I gotta stop now, get in the road, move the barrel, because the wind blew it over. Please, do something about that. Take that flashing sign and put it in the road where people see it. Because I ask people when they come around, they pull in my driveway. I said, didn't you see the sign? They say, no. I don't know what else to do. If you put that blinking one in the road, they have to see it. That's only common sense. You know, and that's all I got to say for now. 1 more month, and then I want permission to move the sign where I think it might help you. Well, help me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Aren't we having fun?
Mayor Craig?
Yeah.
Mr. Sullivan, can you comment on that, please?
Sorry.
Can you comment on what we're doing for that, please?
Yeah, just so you know, sir, first, don't go drag the sign out in the middle of the road. That could open a bunch of us up to liability. I did speak with Mr. Bullock, our Public Works Director, today in regards to people driving around the one barricade. We're going to pull that barricade back up further. You know, trust me.
You should bring it all the way up to the street, because they don't see the flashing one.
Well, you know,
they don't see the little one either.
I'll give you about 50% of that argument. However, I will tell you, based on my history as 30 years in law enforcement, when people decide to go somewhere, they're just like water. They follow the path of least resistance, no matter how many cops are standing there. So pulling the solid barricade sign up, we.
The flashing one should go in the road, though, or they won't see it. I don't understand why that
Well,
can't happen.
the flashing when the road's a different issue. If you put a solid barricade, which is currently down near the curve, we pull that forward, you know, and are there still gonna be people?
Forward, right past that first driveway.
There you go.
Got a thing there, at least where everybody else did. I know that lives on the street.
That look-
They don't have to go into their driveway, because, matter of fact, I had to wait 5 minutes to tell the guy not to pull in my driveway when I pull out, and then I go up the hill. Some guy come out of Cindy's place, almost hit me. He just, I just whipped right around.
Okay,
I'm thinking, oh,
okay.
I had enough.
That's okay. Sir, I think
We're trying, that's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say.
When you put the barrels up, and you picking them up, the wind blows them down.
The best thing to do is to discuss this with Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Bolick, and I'm sure that things will get worked out, or at least improved. Thank you, sir.
Can I come by the office tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay,
Look,
I'll direct them by.
we're gonna be making some changes, though. I don't know if you wanna wait till the changes get made before you come by. I mean, I know the issue.
No, I'd
So-
rather have it done right now, whatever kind of helps me for them people coming down on my driveway and all that, 'cause I was sitting on the front porch today, and they kept coming. I said, where are they coming from? And I go by Creek Patrol, there's only 5 cars. I said, where are they coming from? Now, when the border lifts out tonight, guess what? I'm sitting here, and they're going in my driveway.
Okay. Let's move on to the next item. The next item is possible closed session with members of the Economic Development Authority and Community Development Coordinator. So is there a motion that we go into closed session?
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session.
Okay. Excuse me.
Sure, I don't know that it necessarily would require that. I mean, I'm happy to report to the.
Oh, okay. What?
A regular meeting.
It was put on the agenda as a closed session.
Yeah,
There's nothing sensitive in it?
I did not request that, so if,
Okay.
you know, I'm certainly happy to do it in open session.
Okay. Is there any objection to open session?
No.
Okay. Well, whoever is supposed to report on this, come forward, please. Is that you, Kenny? Okay.
The citizens are having trouble hearing again. Are you having trouble hearing us or the podium?
Not at all when it's real, except static on it.
Oh, my mic.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but it's real staticky.
Oh,
Mr. Bailey?
all right. They're working on it.
My name's Kenny Schuman. I'm the chair of the Town Economic Development Authority. And what we have for you this evening is the result of some work that the authority's been doing over the past few months, and for you to review. And what we've done over the past, I would say, 2 years, culminating in this, is to try to interview, meet with people, learn more about what's going on in the town in terms of what's necessary to drive economic development forward from where we are. And I will say that the Economic Development Authority is now composed of an interested group of people, varied backgrounds, varied ages. The council has given us a very good group of people to work with. I can tell you that the meetings are often lively. There's a lot of discussion. And so what we did at one point is we decided that what we wanted to do was to do a survey of local businesses. And how we did that is in the report. I'm not going to go through this in terrible detail, but who did we survey? We determined we wanted to survey businesses which were local or regional in nature and headquartered in Abingdon or had substantial business in the town. As an example, we talked to the people at Food Country and Food City, but we didn't talk to people at Kroger or Food Line because of the nature of the ownership and their relationship to the town. So we did that. We asked a number of questions. The questions are in the appendix to this report. And what we were able to do was to determine sort of what the common threads were, and that is found on page 3 of the report. And what we have here in terms of the common threads, it's not that every one of these, of the respondents mentioned all of these, but enough did for us to discern the main issues that they felt with economic development in the town. And the 5 main threads were: it's very difficult to work with the town to start a business or modify an existing structure. This is the first time anybody has reached out to me to solicit my thoughts on economic development. The town has been complacent in terms of its efforts for economic development, and the town has rested on its reputation for too long. The restrictive nature of the Historic Properties Review Board has discouraged investment in the historic district, while at the same time some properties are clearly out of compliance with the requirements of the HPBR. And finally, it's hard to locate information on rental housing. So that's what we found that people talked about. And then from that, we were able to put together 8 recommendations, which are found on page 4. And I think that what you'll see is what we talked about, and the threads were there. The first, probably and the most important, is better communication of what is expected in terms of rules and requirements. Present the rules and requirements up front. Tell businesses what they need to do to open a business. Don't mince words. Inform businesses that in order to preserve our character, require architectural features be incorporated to enhance the overall character. Limit the use of jargon. And I think that's being done now. One thing that I digress just a minute is that in our meetings, aside from the people who are appointed to the Economic Development Authority, Tanya Triplett, who is the Economic Development Director for the town, attends those meetings, as does Jane Deering, who is the Tourism Director. On top of that, now for all of our meetings, we have Carrie Baxter from Main Street Abingdon, and we recently added Lisa Quigley, who is the director of the Creeper Trail Group, and I think that they're actually moving toward becoming a conservancy. And so what we're trying to do is to make sure that we have directors of all the different groups that are really concerned with economic development within town attend all these meetings, and all these folks are aware of this and participated in this project. Number 2 is consider offering incentives for businesses. We have spent a lot of time talking about incentives, looking at incentives that other communities do, and I'd like to say that we had some consensus on that. That's a difficult issue, and it's probably an issue that you all will deal with. We looked at incentives. For example, the town of Wytheville has a very nice incentive program, but it's very structured, and it's cumbersome in my mind. So we talked about that. We don't necessarily know what those would be, but we do think that's the kind of thing we need to talk about. And then number 3, don't be afraid to say we want your business. We want you to come here. Adopt an attitude of helping people invest in Abingdon, practiced improved customer and hospitality services. Number 4, consider maximizing the use of Barter Green. Number 5, continue to offer facade improvement opportunities in partnership with business owners and/or building owners to improve aesthetics that will attract additional customers as well as additional businesses. We did that. We started that program with Main Street Abingdon 2 years ago was when it actually began. 3 businesses have gone through that process. Main Street Abingdon now has a grant. We will put some of the money that we have will be matching those grants. And then the other thing that's required on any of the facade improvements is that the owners of the building match those funds with their funds. So hopefully what we're going to see if we do this right is about 25% investment from the Economic Development Authority and 75% investment from all the other partners in those projects. Number 6, work with banks or other financial institutions to identify sources of capital for prospective business or business expansion. And number 7, involve businesses, commercial real estate owners, potential businesses, commercial lenders, and investors in a cooperative atmosphere to foster new growth. Those 2 go together, I think, and that's the kind of thing that I think is going to take a lot of commitment, not only from the Economic Development Authority and the staff to Town of Abingdon, but also the folks on the council. I think that may be something that could be dealt with at least partially when there is a review of the comprehensive plan, which I think is going to come up probably not the end of this year, but at least the beginning of next. I know that's on the agenda, and I think that would be something to be dealt with in that manner. And finally, we recommended a review of the Historic Preservation Review Board guidelines to make sure they are clear, realistic, and promote growth in the historic district. I understand that can be controversial, but I really think that's something the council needs to pay some attention to, so that we have a vibrant historic district as the basis for growth and attracting people to the town of Abingdon. That's pretty much it. I hope this will be helpful to you. We would appreciate any input you have as to what programs or ideas we could work on through the Economic Development Authority, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Kenny, I have a request. I don't know if you would be willing to do this or not, but I think the council intends to update our ordinances beginning as soon as we can, obtain funding. We're probably going to form a committee. Of course, staff will be on the committee. If you or any members of the Economic Development Board or staff have recommendations for including citizens on that committee, would you forward those to me, please?
Yeah, I think it would be wise, at least for the Economic Development Authority, to appoint one person from their group to that. And I think that would probably be the best way to do that, rather than us, than us suggesting an individual.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that this was represented in that.
Yeah, and I think as long as there's a representative of the EDA can choose who that is.
We'll ask you to do that then.
And I think that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments?
Mr. Schuman, I wanted to say I think this 5-page summary is a very light edition of what you all have done, and I want to thank you and all of you for your work involved in this.
Well, thank you. It is an interesting endeavor.
It's good to see something moving in that committee. I haven't seen it for a while.
Well, it's, I will say that before I became chair, John Lagarde was a chair, and we started doing some things and at least trying to move the authority forward. It's sort of not been all that active, maybe in past years, but, you know, I think it will be. I think we have a good group of people, particularly some young folks who want to see some things happen, so.
We sure appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another possible closed session, possible closed session with Community Development Coordinator. Do you want that to be closed?
You
Okay.
need that to be closed.
All right. All right, is there a motion we go into closed session?
I'll make the motion that we go in closed session.
Okay. Kim, would you tell Donna what she needs, code she needs to include in that motion?
I certainly will. It's 2.23711A, 5, Ms. Quetch.
Is that okay?
Yes,
Donna?
okay, yes.
Okay, we have a motion to go into closed session. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Webb. Any discussion? Kim, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig.
Aye. Okay, we'll be in closed session for a while. Okay. Okay, is there a motion to go back into open session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Patterson, second by Mr. Bradley to go back into open session. Any discussion? Kim, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch? Aye. Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. The next item on the agenda.
I need
Excuse
to-
me. I forget that
You're
every time.
fine. Whereas the council of the town of Abingdon, Virginia has convened in a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions set forth in the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Whereas section 2.23712D of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended requires a certification by the town council that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the town of Abingdon, Virginia hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from an open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting, to which this certification resolution applies. And only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting was heard, discussed, or considered by the town council. Mr. Bradley?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch?
I so certify.
Mr. Webb?
I so certify.
Ms. Patterson?
I so certify.
And Mayor Craig?
I so certify. Okay, now the next item on the agenda is petitions, public hearings, and first reading of ordinances. We have public hearing, and Matt Bollick needs to come forward, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's good to see you here tonight. This item on your agenda, I hope is fairly straightforward and simple. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. Washington County Service Authority came to me a short time ago and asked about doing some repairs and some upgrades to water line that happens to be adjacent to the Creeper Trail. As we were having this conversation back and forth between the town and the Service Authority, neither organization was able to document the fact that this existing water line was in any type of easement. At the Service Authority thought that'd be in their best interest, and I agreed that they would like to clear that matter up. They came to the town and said, presented us with an easement document. The Service Authority, to their credit, paid for the advertisement, and they'll pay all the recording and legal fees for this easement. So I would certainly like to commend them for that. Again, it's an existing easement. They're doing some maintenance. As part of this upgrade and maintenance to the water line, they'll be putting a hydrant next to the trestle located on this property, which I think benefits everyone. I think it's a needed extra to that water line. And so again, if you have any questions to this easement, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I have a
Will they
question.
bore under the Creeper Trail, or will they open cut it, do you know?
They will bore under the Creeper Trail.
Okay.
I have a question. Where is it?
It's on the Smith property and trestle number,
Four.
shoot.
7.
It's the one, the new one. The Bushwick, yes. I can't remember if it was 7 or 17. 7 sounds
Okay.
right.
And there's an existing,
Existing water line there. Yes, sir.
I know the council previously authorized one in Alvarado about, it's somewhere in that area, long ago.
And it's my understanding that they're gonna put a fire hydrant there, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that would be necessary. If we have any problems with that trestle, goodness forbid, that we could have something there that we could put a fire or whatever, fire out.
I think that would be very helpful.
Yes.
All yours?
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, the public hearing is now open. Anyone who wishes to speak, come forward and state your name and address. Anybody at all? Okay. I declare the public hearing on this matter closed. Council, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, I'd move that we authorize the Service Authority and enter into the agreement with, for the utility easement with the service authority as advertised.
And I would second that.
Sister-
Tie.
I
You owe me a Dr. Pepper.
I declare my sister the winner. Oh, Webb is a second, okay, any discussion?
Oh, you broke the tie? Okay.
You want to flip a coin or what?
I thought you agreed to it.
No, I didn't agree to
Well, he
it.
owes you a Dr. Pepper.
You may want to amend your motion to authorize whoever your manager will be to sign that agreement. Because
Okay.
you'll need an authoritative signature.
Okay,
And we don't have to have a second.
let's see, Al, you made the motion?
Yes, and I would certainly agree to that amendment.
Okay.
And
Mo-
dispense with second reading?
Dispense with
Well,
second
I thought we needed to vote on this and then vote on that separately.
No.
Okay, then, Al.
And I agree to
please-
dispense with the second reading also.
Okay, all right. So Cindy, you are, Al, Derek, you all right with that?
I'm
motion?
all right with that, I second.
Okay. Now that all the confusion's over, is there any discussion? Okay, Kim, please call a roll.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Switch? Aye. Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. Okay. The next item on the agenda is resolutions. Ms. Stacy Reichler.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good
members of
evening.
council. As you recall, on September 18th, Tamara Greer was here and she presented to you some detail about the retiree health care stipend. We currently pay $120 per quarter for 39 retirees. She gave to you some information regarding some options that you may want to consider because of the liability of this retiree stipend. So the first option that she gave you was to discontinue the stipend for all current and future retirees effective July 1st, 2018. In doing that, that would keep your liability at approximately $786,486. The second option she gave you was to continue the retiree stipend for only those 39 employees that are currently on it. But in doing that, that's going to increase your liability to $1 to $1.2 million and could possibly cause a finding on your financials. So with that information, it is our recommendation that the council consider option one. In doing that, we would like you to pass a resolution for VRS to take that retiree program over, retro to July 1st, 2018.
I'd like to add a couple of things that I've spoken with Brown Edwards, our lead auditors on this as well, and to Cam Bell from Ben Stewart, and we've got two auditors and a lawyer agreeing on something. It's probably a good idea that we get out of the business of managing it ourselves and let VRS manage this program for us.
Okay, and could you, go ahead.
Can you read the resolution?
I can. This is a resolution of the Council for the Town of Abingdon, Virginia, in support of health insurance credit program for local government employees. Whereas the Town of Abingdon desires to provide health insurance credits to eligible current and future retirees as defined in Code of Virginia 1950, as amended Article 5, Chapter 1 of Title 15.1. Be it resolved by the Council of the Town of Abingdon that the Town of Abingdon 55300 does hereby elect to provide the health insurance credit program as provided in the Code of Virginia, Section 51.1-1402, for its eligible current and future retirees as defined in Article 5, Chapter 1 of Title 51.1 of the Code of Virginia. Be it also resolved that the Town of Abingdon agrees to accept all liability for any current or future additional employer contributions and any increases in current or future employer contribution rates resulting from its election to provide the benefits of the program to its retirees. Be it further resolved that the Town of Abingdon elects to allow its eligible retirees to receive the benefits under the program effective July 1st, 2018. Now therefore, Wayne Craig, Mayor, and Kimberly Kingsley, Clerk, are hereby authorized and directed in the name of the Town of Abingdon to execute any required contract in order that said eligible retirees of the Town of Abingdon may participate in the health insurance credit program as provided for in the Code of Virginia. In execution of any contract which may be required, the seal of the Town of Abingdon shall be affixed and attested by the clerk, and said officers of the town of Abingdon are authorized and directed to pay over to the treasurer of Virginia from time to time such sums as are due to be paid by the town of Abingdon for this purpose.
Cindy, did you
I
have
do
some?
have some questions, if I may, please. Did a lawyer, take a look at that, paperwork, the resolution you just read?
This is a resolution that came directly from VRS.
Okay, from VRS?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And it says in that resolution that we're responsible for it, as you were reading it, but we're responsible through VRS. They're just handling everything, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this is what you all recommend. And would you tell me again, and as well as the public, or tell us, the council, how much money that entails, please?
It's an actual increase in the VRS rate of 0.26 of 1%. So that equates to $14,385, which is actually less than what we have budgeted for the retiree program that we're trying to administer ourselves. So we may have about a $5,000 savings.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr.
Okay.
Mayor, as a retired town employee and a recipient of these
Oh,
funds,
come on now.
I think I need to disqualify myself from voting on this.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
I thought you was gonna thank us for giving you more money or something like that. Okay, council, what's your pleasure?
I'd like to move that we approve this as per, the, resolution read and as per, recommendation, from staff.
Okay, motion by Ms. Patterson to approve the resolution.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Webb. Is there any discussion? No discussion? Kim, call a roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Abstaining.
Abstain, thank you. Ms. Quetch? Aye. Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a resolution in support of Virginia Department of Transportation Highway Safety Improvement Program. Mr. Bolick again. Are you gonna be brief again?
That's always my goal.
All right.
I appreciate that. Again, we are looking for a resolution tonight to further our application to VDOT for one of their many funding sources. This project is titled the Highway Safety Improvement Project Plan and also the Pedestrian Safety Action Plan. So if you hear the phrase HSIP or PSAP, we're looking at pedestrian or safety programs that VDOT will fund for us. We are looking to put 5 applications in this year. Sidewalks along West Main Street from Patton to Holston, Clark Street from Whites Mill Road to Court Street, East Main Street from Rugby Terrace to Hutton Street, Preston Street from West Main to Hagee Street, and we're also applying to improve the crosswalk and the crossing area along Russell Road at the Little League ball fields. So those are all projects that we are applying for this year, and one of the requirements to put the application in is to have a resolution by the town council. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those at this time.
Okay, do you have a resolution for us? Or what do you?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere. Stacy's voice is much more pleasant. I think she should read for us.
I agree with that.
A resolution of the council for the town of Abingdon, Virginia, in support of applications to the Virginia Department of Transportation Highway Safety Improvement Program and Pedestrian Safety Action Plan projects. Whereas the town of Abingdon desires to submit an application for allocation of funds provided by VDOT for the projects listed below, and no local match will be required by the town. Be it resolved by the council of the town of Abingdon as follows. 1. The town council hereby supports the application referred to herein and hereby authorize the town manager to submit such application to VDOT for funds from VDOT's Highway Safety Improvement Program for VDOT's 6-year plan and Pedestrian Safety Action Plan for the fiscal year 2019 for the following projects. A. The first project includes installing sidewalk and related appurtenances along Clark Street from Whites Mill Road to Court Street. B, the second project includes installing sidewalk to connect existing sections of sidewalks along East Main Street between Rugby Terrace and Hutton Street along the north side of East Main Street. C, the third project includes pedestrian improvements along West Main Street from Patton Street to Holston Street along the north side of West Main Street. D, the fourth project includes pedestrian improvements along Preston Street from West Main Street along the east side to connect to the urban trail. E, the fifth project includes a pedestrian safety action plan on Russell Road to install a high visibility crosswalk connecting the now existing parking lot to the fields used by the Little League. 2, the town manager is further authorized to take such further actions and execute such further documents as may be necessary to submit the above application and to furnish such additional information as may be required for such application. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, council, what's your pleasure on the resolution?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the resolution.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Bradley to approve the resolution, second by Ms. Patterson. Any discussion? Kim, please call the roll.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. Okay, next item is considerations of bids, and there are none. Reports from the interim town manager, Mr. Sullivan, or? you,
I'll
David?
defer to Kevin Sigmund, who's going to tell us about something very important.
Mr. Sigmund, I read about you in the email.
Good evening, everybody.
Got good news for us, don't you?
I wish it was good news. Mayor Craig, members of council, Mr. Sullivan, it's an honor to be with y'all again. It's not usually April when I come up and give my little State of the Trees report, but this is something that the Tree Commission felt was important that we do, and so I just wanted to get you all up to date on exactly where we are. We knew this day was coming. It was just a matter of time, not a question of if the emerald ash borer ever got to this part of the United States, but just a question of when, and unfortunately it's not. This past spring, the emerald ash borer coordinator for the state of Virginia, she's a member of the Virginia Department of Forestry based out of Charlottesville, came down here and we spent a day setting pheromone traps in Washington County and in Smith County. These are two of the few remaining counties in the state of Virginia that hasn't positively identified the emerald ash borer as being in the counties. And we set those traps, and then of course you have to wait. About 6 weeks to 8 weeks ago, I can't remember exactly, we came back out, collected the traps, some sticky material on the inside, and we could tell, yeah, we had them. It was obvious it was there, but we still had to collect those and send them off to the insect identification lab at Virginia Tech for the positive identification. And sure enough, the emerald ash borer is here in Washington County and Smith County, Virginia. I think if anything, it's the evidences are already starting to show out there. And so I just wanted to make you guys aware that the town is, we have always been trying to be very proactive in trying to save selected ash trees here in Abington. 2 springs ago, we brought in a contractor, Bartlett Tree Experts, and we had selected 7 ash trees based upon their historical significance, their size, with their location, trees that we thought that were worthy of making the effort to try to save these trees and get through this infestation. And we brought Bartlett in, and they did a tree trunk injection treatment with this material. It's called imectin benzoate. It is by far what they believe is to be the best manner to which to treat ash trees. And you can do it in a preventative manner, kind of like an inoculation. We did that in the spring of 2017. And this coming year, this coming spring, we'll be doing it again. I've already been in contact with with Bartlett down in Johnson City, and they will be doing it again. So those trees are being going to be treated. We have sent out a press release to the general public. I want to thank Tennille. She did a great job of putting that together. And so we've gotten that out, and just today we did have a little article on WCYB in terms of just in trying to educate everybody in regards to what is here. We are definitely trying to make everybody aware, and in the packets that I had given to you all, the Department of Forestry does have a program for not only, and we're going to take advantage of this too, not only for individual landowners, but nonprofits, municipalities, a cost savings or cost sharing program where the state will pay basically 50% of the cost of the material. And so that's every little bit that we can say that's going to be good for us. So we're going to be taking care of that, and so we are still looking out for trees that we feel that would be of value to try to save. Unfortunately, in the world of economics and in limited budgets, we can't save every ash tree that's out there. Some trees are just not in the best of condition, location, what have you. The risk benefit is you're at the point where it's just kind of like, should we hang on to this tree, or should we just go ahead and put something else in there, some tree that is not nearly as susceptible to the little icks and ills that are out there. And there are a number of good trees to plant out there that we can just substitute in and just get rid of, let the ash trees go by the way of, some of these other trees and other things that have happened in years past, and just put in a new kind of tree and try to and just move on from there. So that's pretty much where we are. I'll be continuing to monitor the progress of the Corps here in town. I'm certainly going to make myself available to those individual landowners to not only identify ash trees, but to give them whatever guidance is needed for the future, and let them be able to make the best decisions. But of course, being private landowners, trees on private property, that is their call to make. But I can certainly give my 2 cents worth and let them make their decisions from there. So, it's unfortunate. We're saddened by the fact that this board is here. This is just, you look at up there in the Great Lakes area where they have literally lost tens of millions of ash trees up there because of this board. And of course, up there, one of the things is they had entire streets lined with ash trees, and then boom, they're gone, and every tree's gone. That's one of the things that we have really tried to stress here in town, is the diversity that we need to have with our tree population. When you have a monoculture out there, that's the risk you take, where you can come in and have something like this happen. If you have one, your main tree becomes susceptible to something, you run a tremendous risk. So that's one of the things that the Tree Commission will continue. We'll continue to work on having a good, diverse population of tree species, some new plantings, what we're looking at. And I will say that is a combination of native and non-native. I think you need to have a good combination of both. You can be very strategic on where you plant those trees. But you need to have a good combination to where you are minimizing your risk, and you're making sure that anything else that might come down the pike will not have a tremendously overt adverse effect on the town. And there are other bugs coming. I hate to tell you this. There's one bug that's out there. It's called the Asian longhorn beetle. If it ever gets down here, if it ever breaks loose, the East Coast is going to be in problem. It's going to be in trouble because they love maple trees. And they have had little outbreaks. And they had these, in Ohio, they just finished up a major quarantine of that bug. 7-mile quarantine they did, where they basically had to cut down every tree and destroy the tree, chip it up very fine to make sure they got all the larvae out of it. They think they've got it, but every once in a while there's this little outbreak out there. And we've got the lantern sawfly coming in from Winchester. It's coming down from Pennsylvania, slowly making it down this way. I hate it for the wineries around here, the grape growers down here. That bug loves grapes, so it's going to be an issue for them. The gypsy moth, you're aware of the gypsy moth. It's been up there in the Shenandoahs for so long, it's slowly migrating down this way. It is in Bland County right now. loves oak trees. I love oak trees. We're gonna have fortunately, there are some good treatments for that. This is just something we gotta be prepared for. And so, this is one of the, several years ago, we had the issue with the hemlock woolly adelgid. We fought that. I think we won that fight. The bug is kind of waned down a little bit now. We'll go through this again with the emerald ash borer, and we'll just have to continue on with this, with any other little bug that kind of shows up. So, just wanted to make you aware that it is here, but we've been, in a lot of ways, we've been waiting on it. We've been preparing for it. We've made our preemptive strikes on it, and we're going to continue to monitor it, and we'll be ready for it, and I think we'll be able to weather this well. So, have any other questions, anything, I'll be glad to answer.
Are there any large stands of ash trees in town, Kevin?
Not stands, it's more like individual trees.
Mm-hmm.
There's small groupings of trees. The ash tree over here at the Fields Penthouse in front, there in front of the building. That's one of the trees we inoculate.
I didn't know there was an ash, okay.
Yeah, it's the third largest white ash tree on record in the state of Virginia right now, which is kind of cool. And up on Courthouse Hill, on Main Street, out on Valley Street, those are the places where we have designated those trees because of their size and their location. Those are the trees we've really made a tremendous effort to save. And so those are the trees we've been inoculating. And we'll continue to inoculate. If I can find anything else, not every ash tree is I hate to say it, worth the effort, because I only have so much money and so much time. And so we just have to, we've just got to make those hard decisions. So that's where we are. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Sullivan, do you want to speak on discussion regarding negotiation of lease agreement with regard to Fairview?
I think Mr. Bradley asked that.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if you.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay, Al.
I handed out to everyone a couple of pages regarding excerpts from the current comprehensive plan. Yours is on yellow paper. Mine is an early edition. One of those is located down near the bottom of the page. It's listed as ACH3, Protection of Resources and Unique Features. And it says Abingdon's historical and cultural resources must be protected and preserved for the benefit of future generations and for the town's economic sustainability. That's taken from the comprehensive plan as it exists. It was passed in 2013. The town got involved with Fairview and at the as a gift from Dr. Moore and his wife Judy, a very kind gift from those people to the town, and they put Fairview back into good shape, and it exists out there and it belongs to the town. I would like to see, well, let me back up a little bit. The town also had a employee out there for a while to take care of the Fairview and to oversee what was going on, and that employee left, and it was turned over to the Old Glade Antique Tractor Association for them to take care of. But the town did not provide any funding for the Old Glade Antique Tractor Association as a result of that. Consequently, we've sort of left them holding the bag. And I would like to see, and would make a motion, I would like to see the town fund the Old Glade Antique Tractor Association in the amount of $8,000 from the council's funds, and take care of both our historic and our own, in this case, personal regard as far as Fairview is concerned.
Okay, we have a motion from Mr. Bradley. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion, and I'd like to discuss when I can.
Second by Ms. Patterson. Any discussion?
Yes. I also agree with Mr. Bradley, because I think that the town has responsibilities when they negotiated with Dr. Moore on this property. years ago, and then there was a problem with it getting released. I think that was a problem with the staff at that time. Anyhow, that's all over and done with. The Old Blade Tractor Association has built buildings on some of this property, and they were under the impression they were going to continue on doing what they're doing over there at Fairview. It's an educational purpose. They grow crops, and they give these crops to food banks here in this area in the county. They have potatoes. I can't remember how many thousands of pounds they told us one time that they gave to the food bank. But not only do they give the food, they teach, well, they were teaching things about, important things about crops. When people come and view the property, there's flax there, how you spin the flax, and different things that they were teaching. So it's a very historic property. I think that we owe it to Fairview, and we already have investment in it, and continue to support it with the citizens' money to help this project out and keep it going.
I would ask Mr. Craig if you would explain to the public what you explained to me, where the money comes from.
Okay, I'll be happy to do that. During the budget negotiations or during the budget considerations for this fiscal year, the Old Glade Tractor Association didn't receive any funding. And I'm normally a proponent of cutting non-departmental spending, but this was the reason that the town council didn't provide them any funding was because of the snag in the lease. And I think it was probably, well, at least I anticipated that this would come up in this during the calendar year, during this fiscal year, and so I'm in favor of giving them some funding. I hate to see all of any organization who contributes to the community jerked out from under them all at one time. So I'm in favor of this being taken from our council. What's it? Our council discretionary fund, Chuck? Take it from the council discretionary fund. Satisfactory? Okay.
Well,
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I do have a question. I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I mean, what did we give them before? Like, was this what we normally give them per year, or we just?
My recollection is they requested 16,000. I believe we gave them 13,000 last year. Chuck, is that correct? I'm pretty sure it was 13,000 last year. So this would actually be a cut in their funding, what we've done before.
I mean, that's really what I was curious about. So basically, we didn't give them money when we probably should have.
Right.
But that's going to come straight from the council contingency fund.
Correct. And our council contingency, I believe, is 56,000, so I'd take it down to 48,000. Is that right, Chuck? Okay. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, Kim, call roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Okay, old business matters not on the agenda. I believe Cindy has something.
I do, thank you. This is something that I've been made aware of quite a while back, and the council also was made aware of this. And I really and truly believe that we're moving forward, and things are turned around, and it looks like that we're doing a whole lot better with this. But I want to read something to you all. We get minutes from different boards, committees, and reading over this, and then I got the EDA material this evening from Mr. Schuman, and I was really wishing that he would be here when I commented on this. We've gone over this about customer-friendly customer service, and like I said, I think that we've really improved on that. In this excerpt from the minutes, it says, Dr. White said, I believe this was from the planning commission meeting this last time. Dr. White said that when he was trying to open up a new business, that he received the runaround being sent from place to place in order to get the permits he needed. No one saying thank you for bringing your business to town. No thank you for collecting my taxes. What can be done to streamline this process? That was said there in those minutes just recently. And then in this EDA material that we received where they asked questions to folks at Kroger at Food City and Food Country, number 3 says, don't be afraid to say we want your business here and we are going to help you. The entry cost of opening a small shop or business is daunting. Make it easy. Adapt an attitude of helping people to invest in Abingdon. Practice improved customer hospitality service. I've been in customer service and hospitality for years and years and years, and I understand that. And again, I think that we've already incorporated some of that to make it better. But I guess there's always room for improvement. However, I think that sometimes this gets missed by other committees. So I'd like to just ask the council if they have any ideas, or even the citizens, of how we can communicate this, that we are working and we are improving this, and that I'd like to pass this on to all the committees. Maybe they'll get a better understanding that we are more customer friendly here at the Abingdon Town Hall. Should we put that on the agenda? Or do you all have any suggestions? What's your comments? What's your pleasure, council?
I
don't really know how you put it on an agenda.
Maybe we could put something on the website.
I think it would be, I think you're right. Certainly, we all need to promote it. That would, in my opinion, that should be something that all of us should carry back to our committees and just emphasize, so that we can, certainly with the town management, I think we've done a very good job of changing that. I'm not sure that there's any one specific thing we can do, though, on an agenda to make that, unless we want to do some sort of a resolution, a commitment, or, I mean, Don't laugh, I'm just trying to be great. I just like the way you said it.
Well, I'm committed.
Get excited,
Committed, yeah.
Could we send this to all the members of the standing committees, planning commission,
Like email.
recreation, whatever other committees and I'm sure there are dozens, with dozens of members, but I think it's worthwhile what Mr. Schuman has given us tonight to disseminate to everyone who's directly involved.
Mm-hmm. And if there is any improvement, excuse me.
That's right, go ahead.
If there is any more improvement that we need to improve, then we need to find out where we're lacking, and we need to improve in that area. And how, what can we do to improve in that area? Go ahead, please, I'm sorry to interrupt.
I think Floyd wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think I have a pretty good idea. One thing I think we do already is, as Mr. Schuman said, if you want their business, just say so. So putting it on the web and making sure we do this on more than just one time. It needs to be rehearsed over and over. It wouldn't be a bad thing to put up a banner over Cumming Street that says we're open for business, or anything like that that just tells people who are coming that it's good to do business in Abingdon. These kinds of things I think would be helpful. I see it in other localities when I travel. I see those kinds of things, and I see brochures and things of that nature that tell the community and people that are visiting that we love business, we love for people to come and open business and to do business and be a part of our community. Just say so.
I like that.
Tony, let me ask you a question. Is Tennille good at doing this kind of thing, or public relations, or?
Well, I mean, Tennille's our specialist for social media. I mean, so, certainly that's a component of what you're talking about.
Let me ask you, would it be do you think it's a good idea for Tanya and Tennille and maybe Floyd get together and come up with a recommendation?
I do, and I think a lot of what you're talking about is leadership, which of course that has to come from the top down. I mean, you've got to have somebody in this chair who's going to push that message.
Okay.
And it's not just putting it out, it's making sure that the employees are following through with it. So it doesn't just come with putting a message out or hanging a banner up. All great things, but it also has to be a piece of the evaluation, so the employees have to know it's a standard.
Okay.
So this is a comprehensive concept that you're talking about. This isn't a.
Is it in their evaluation now?
I think a piece of it is, and there's certainly a piece for recommendations. But that's, as a 16-year employee, I'll tell you that the evaluations haven't always been as strenuous as they should have. I'll just use that word. I think that's fair. Our HR professionals here, I think that's probably a fair assessment.
Joe, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, Joe Levine, 340 Green Spring Road. I've been in the town 6 years. This is a cultural change. It's hard, it's difficult, and it takes time. I think this town council and the staff has embraced the idea of being business friendly, which is, as we're hearing, a tremendous change from what we had up until recently. It's gonna take time. It's gonna take a concerted effort, and I really think that, it's not appoint 3 people to come up with something. It has to be a cultural change, which will take time. You're gonna have to continue to work on it. And I think it's the first thing is to put together your plan of where you want to get, and then just be consistent.
Thank you. Well, maybe we need to think a little more about it and put it on the work session agenda for the October 25th meetings. What do you think, Al? Donna?
It's fine.
Okay. Can we
Mr.
put
Mayor,
that-
I have one other thing.
Oh, okay.
Back in the bad old days when I was a town employee, I had a little single-page handout about how to start a business in Abington. And it was chiseled on rocks, you had to, it's a little hard to disseminate, but maybe we could do something like that again.
That's already in the works.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
And I think
Good.
Mr. Boswell already has something like that
He
anyway.
and Ms. Triplett and I think Lloyd and
Okay.
Shuck and some others were involved in formulating that.
Any other matters not on the agenda? Chuck?
I just want to address Councilman Webb's question. There's a lull in the action. I was able to pull up the Algata historical allocations. And in this is fiscal year 2015, it was 5,000. 16, it was 5,000. 17, it was 10,000. And 18, it was 15,000. So you cut it.
Kind of cut it.
Cut it in half. I wanted to.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Sorry about the
Thank you.
delay.
Thank
but-
you.
Thank you, Mr. Bader.
No, that's no problem.
Okay, there's something has surfaced today unexpectedly, and we need another closed session, so, Jack, can you make a motion to?
Just read that.
Just make a motion to go into closed session? Yeah, just to read that.
I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia as amended for the purpose of discussing the appointment of an interim town manager.
Is there a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Webb, second by Ms. Patterson. Is there any discussion? Kim, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye. We'll be in closed session for a few minutes. council, are you ready to go back into open session? We need a motion to go back into open session.
I'll make that motion.
Motion
So
by Ms.
moved.
Patterson,
Second.
second by Mr. Bradley. Any discussion? Kim, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch? Aye. Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig.
Aye. Okay, we
You need
have.
certification.
Yeah, we have to.
Oh, yeah, we've got to do that thing. All right,
Whereas
all
the
right.
council of the town of Abingdon, Virginia has convened in a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions set forth in the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Whereas Section 2.23712D of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended requires certification by the town council that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the town of Abingdon, Virginia hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from an open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies. And only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the town council. Mr. Bradley?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch?
I so certify.
Mr. Webb?
I so certify.
Ms. Patterson?
I so certify.
And Mayor Craig.
I so certify. Okay, do we have a motion for action?
Yes, sir. I have a motion to employ the Berkeley Group of Bridgewater, Virginia, in the person of Mr. Kenneth Bidham as the interim town manager effective October 12th at 5:00 p.m., and to authorize the mayor to enter into any mutually satisfactory agreement for that purpose.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bradley, a second by Ms. Patterson. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, call the roll, please, Kim.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig.
Aye. Next item on the agenda is council member reports. Any reports? No council member reports. I would like to say something to the public and to the council, and I want to personally thank Tony Sullivan for his service to the town on the spur of the moment in a very difficult circumstance. And I want to say, I said it to the newspaper, and I'm totally sincere in saying this. I think, Tony, you have done a tremendous service to this town. You have improved things tremendously, and I speak for the whole council. We all are in agreement on that, and we certainly appreciate your service to the town.
Thank you, Mayor. Honor and pleasure. I enjoyed getting to know all of our staff better, making the changes we could, trying to improve things, trying to move the ship along. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you all for your confidence. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are no other things to be done or said, I declare this meeting adjourned.